Brianne Showman with Get Your Fix Physical Therapy and Performance. Back pain with squatting. It's not as common of complaint as knee pain, but it still is something I hear quite often, and that's what we're going to dive into today. So why is this happening? Typically, it's because we're letting our trunk lean too far forward when we're squatting. So what happens a lot is we're told we need to get lower into our squat, but we have limited ankle mobility and we have limited hip mobility. So the only way we can get lower, or at least perceive that we're lower, is by bending our trunk forward, our torso forward. Well, the only way to get out of that is by extending your back to get up out of it. So you are basically every single repetition you do, when you're coming up, you're firing those back muscles excessively in a way they shouldn't need to fire. We want them to stabilize. We don't want them to do the actual motion. They're small muscles. Our glutes are big muscles. We want the glutes to do it. We don't want the low back to do it. So if you are letting your back lean forward at all when you're squatting, in order to get out of that, you're extending that back, you're putting increased, or you're overusing those back muscles, essentially causing the flare-ups and that pain that you're getting with squats. Now, the other reason this does happen, if you have a fairly upright torso, is your body's forgotten how to actually fire your glutes properly. Typically because we haven't trained the feet how to let that happen. So a lot of times when we're squatting, we hear knees out. So we get our knees out by rolling to the outside of our feet, which does not let our glutes do anything. When we're rolling to the outside of our feet, we're essentially putting increased strain on the IT bands. We're using those quads. We're doing all these things. We're not using the glutes. Anytime we're not using the glutes effectively, other muscles have to take over, typically the quads and the low back. So if we learn to use those feet better, keeping on the tripod of that foot, keeping the toes down on the ground, really pressing through the floor while getting those knees out, we can stand up better with our glutes rather than our low back. So a couple different things you can dive into there. Definitely check those out for yourself, test them out, see what might be the problem for you, and start addressing that in order to get your back pain to go away. I promise if you work on it, it will go away. So if you have any other questions for me or just want to check out more information, you can check out my website, getyourfixpt.com, and you can find ways to contact me on there as well.